What's up, dudes?
What's up?
We're finally doing a video at the same time again.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm Zen Buro. This is Captain Gimpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Zenburo.
He's confused right now. He has DID. Sorry.
No. No, I have old timers.
No.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here to talk about bad times at El Royale.
At
the
Royale.
El Royale.
This movie stars a lot of people, so
Yep.
if I screw them up, I apologize. Jeff Bridges is in the film.
Yep.
Cynthia Erivo
Yeah.
is in the movie. Dakota Johnson from the 50 Shades movies that I don't like.
Yep.
And who else is in this? John Hamm,
John Hamm. Louis Pullman.
who is probably related to Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
Probably, because they look a lot alike, actually.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So, what is this movie about? Because one of the hard things about it is how do I summarize the plot?
So the El Royale is a hotel located on the border between California and Nevada, and it's kind of structured that way. You see this, the film shows you this line that just goes through.
There's a borderline that divides the hotel into California and Nevada sides.
Yeah, so it's kind of a little joke in the film.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like this crossroads where all these characters meet, and at the beginning of the film we're shown a montage where a character takes the carpet off, moves all the stuff, and
Hides a bag of some goodness
Yeah.
beneath the floor.
yeah, and that's actually the goal of one of the characters in this film.
Film nerd note, that montage had way too many jump cuts for my liking. I wish it would have had at least one less. It was a little jarring. I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
The movie's intention, in my opinion, is to deceive you. So it gives you kind of a happy montage with a bloody death, and then
Yeah.
you're like, what the hell am I supposed to think about this movie?
Yep.
So, I mean, it does what it's supposed to, but it's just not stylistically, like, I think it could have been done better in that opening scene. Because
Right.
opening scenes are so important in films.
Yeah, they set the tone and everything. And this film just kind of drops you in there.
It
Yeah.
definitely does.
But to summarize, there's 7 strangers. They all collide together, and it culminates in a violent climax.
A very violent climax.
Yeah.
So, for film school people out there, it tells the story of many people in a non-linear fashion, similar to maybe Quentin Tarantino films, such as, what's that one? Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
I was going to say the one with The Rock being a weird dude. But yeah, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is about as good as you would find in Reservoir Dogs, which, if you know me at all, that's about the only thing I liked about Reservoir Dogs, is the dialogue.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like even the way the film segments different parts.
Yeah.
It starts with a title card, for example, like Room 4.
Because each patron, each
Yeah.
of the strangers is given a room, so we see title cards that kind of, like, this is the person in that room, this is the person in this room. And during these, we usually get flashbacks, which tell
Yeah.
us something about that character and why they might be in the illustrious, rundown El Royale.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, honestly.
It is. And I didn't expect it to be because somebody had told me this film was a thriller. It is definitely not a thriller.
Nope.
It is what I would call a movie that disguises itself as a thriller, but it has a comedic edge, and it's really a character study that's about what keeping dark secrets can eventually do to a person.
Right.
Like John Hamm plays this FBI agent who has a really strong sense of conscience, right?
Right.
He has a really strong Jiminy Cricket, and he's sending a communique to his higher-ups at the FBI, being like, dudes, I found this secret catacomb thing where you can look into the rooms.
Yeah.
And I think I saw a kidnapping in progress.
Yep.
And they told him basically to go fuck off and not do anything.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do that. So he went to the girl's room where he saw the kidnapping taking place, and he dies.
Yeah.
He dies.
Pretty much.
Pretty fast. I was like, dude, I thought you were going to be a lasting character. You're John Hamm.
Exactly.
And then he died.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth is also in this film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Shit,
he
I
plays
forgot.
a charismatic cult leader.
Who is he in normal movies again?
Hemsworth?
Yeah. What is
Oh, well, he's Thor, obviously, from
Right.
the Marvel's MCU.
See, because I'm kind of slow, and I always get Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pratt mixed up because they kind of talk the same.
Yeah, they do, but it's Hemsworth.
Yeah.
We looked it up.
And you know, like the cool thing about his performance in this movie is he has all the charisma and psycho nature of someone you'd expect, like Charles Manson, for example. And he pulls that shit off perfectly.
Yeah, I was actually a little impressed.
Like, see, Rob Zombie made a movie called The Devil's Rejects.
Yep.
And he kind of did an over-the-top version of that that was a little, well, it was pretty unbelievable.
Yes, it was.
But Chris Hemsworth is a good actor, and he has a good sense of character, which is something I've always admired about him, and he pulls it off perfectly. Because I've seen interviews with Manson and the people that came from the Manson house,
Yeah.
and he has exactly that kind of persona.
Yeah, it was well done.
It was kind of fantastic to watch. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, but he doesn't overshadow the other characters.
'Cause
In
he's
fact, he comes relatively late in the film.
And it's worth noting that while his influence on the film's plot is pretty major, his character is actually fairly minor.
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't get a lot of screen time.
Mhm.
He's not very prominent in the story at all.
Yeah.
He just has a large impact toward the end.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever seen Dakota Johnson actually act,
Mhm.
and she was okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in anything else other than the masochistic, abusive bondage movies that don't represent BDSM.
Right.
But so yeah, it was kind of cool to see her do that. There's a relative newcomer whose name I can't pronounce, who plays her Dakota Johnson's character's sister named Rose, although IMDb has it down as Ruth for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not what I heard in the theater, dude.
But yeah, her younger sister's in love with the cult leader, which leads to some
Yeah.
very interesting things.
It's a pretty interesting dynamic. That's also another thing they got absolutely right after watching a bunch of documentaries on the Sharon Tate murders in the Manson house and all that. Like, she played that part very well, too. Because what people don't realize is even when they're set free, their minds are still captive.
Yeah, they are.
And she was completely at dude's mercy.
Yep. And one of the other things I wanted to comment was that Jeff Bridges' character and Cynthia Erivo's character, they had a pretty good
They have a lot of chemistry. Yeah.
And I think that was one of the highlights of this film.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
And you know, I've somewhat been a fan of Jeff Bridges for a while. I'm more a fan of older Jeff Bridges. He's kind of settled into this kind of like this somewhat dubious but wise sort of wizard character.
Yeah.
In his movies, and they're each different. They're not. It's not like he's playing the same character like in what I would call Tron 2.0.
Yeah.
He played a zenned out dude
Yep.
who's been basically in the Matrix forever, and he's lost all sense of like worldly anything.
Yeah.
Including somewhat his own body. He's like, oh, this feels weird.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen another human in like 50 years.
Yep.
So they're not all the same, but he tends to have that bent wisdom about him.
Right. And you see that in this character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he plays, get this, guys, he plays a priest who's not a priest who actually robbed an armored car. But you don't find that out until way later. And he's got the dementias.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's some pretty funny one-liners between, what's her name in the movie?
Darlene Sweet.
Darlene Sweet,
Yeah.
Cynthia Erivo's character, and Jeff Bridges, that are super funny, that are age related.
Yeah.
And I thought well played. Louis Pullman, dude, that last scene.
Yeah.
That last scene with him in it. Oh, he kills so many people.
Yeah, and he actually plays it with heart too.
Yeah.
I actually felt something by the end of it. I was like, wow.
You did? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I just watched it like it was a movie.
But yeah, I think overall this film was pretty good. It has a very colorful cast of characters.
One thing I will say about this film,
Yeah.
there is a lot of plot to it, and it's really not told in a linear way, so you actually have to pay attention.
Yeah.
If you're trying to turn off your brain, go see Night School.
Yep.
Go see Hellfest. Pretty much. Well, yeah, Night School or Hellfest.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the words of Forrest Gump, well, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, those are my thoughts too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a good movie. It's fairly original. I'm sure you can find cinema parallels if you dig deep enough. Obviously, that's possible with any film. But if you want to see stuff that is different, pay for different kinds of movies, dudes.
Yeah.
It's important. You see, Hollywood doesn't think by itself. It thinks based on what you give money to.
Yep.
So if you want to see original films that have some depth to them, that are maybe a bit experimental, but still do something that is very readable and understandable to a general audience, pay for those movies.
Yeah.
Don't pay for movies you don't want to see. If you see a trailer in a movie and you're like, oh, it looks like crap, but then later your friend is like, oh, go see it, it was good.
Yeah.
Don't see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your friend says. It matters what you think.
Yep.
So just pay for movies you want to see, and more of the movies that you want to see will be made. That's how this works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, guys, I'm going to go away. And I guess we'll see you at the movies.
Yep. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Subscribe. I know y'all don't like me. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Bye.